Tina, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for agreeing to be part of the She Leads campaign. Can you just start by introducing yourself and your business?
So I'm a speech and language therapist. I've been working within the speech and language therapy industry for around 10 plus years. So I predominantly work with adults who've had an acquired or progressive neurological conditions such as a stroke, brain injury, progressive conditions such as dementia, and they might have communication or swallowing difficulties. So my job is to assess them and then provide them with a therapy plan personalised to their needs to help them with their journey. During COVID time, I gave birth to my son. At that point, things shifted for me because I was like, I really, really love my job. You know, I have a lot of passion for it and I've been working really, really hard. So I don't want to give that up. At the same time, I really want to embrace motherhood. My husband works as a frontline worker as well. He's a pharmacist. So within a week's time, he was just back into work. And then I was left with the baby and me in trying to figure out motherhood, trying to kind of sort myself out. So I went back into work and he was 9 months, put him into nursery. And then that mum guilt. It was awful. It was awful. I felt like I couldn't be at work and I couldn't be there for him. I think it was quite a really low point in my life where I really, really struggled quite a lot because I think that imposter syndrome kicked in terms of, am I a good enough speech therapist? Am I a good enough mum? What am I doing? I did invest a lot of time in joining groups, online groups. And one really stuck out. There was this lady called Bhavna and she had this group and it was called Successful Superwomen. And I could relate to it because there were women like me. And when I say women like me, I mean South Asian women. And I remember calling that lady up and I said, I really feel that I want to leave the NHS and work for my own practice, but I don't know if I can. When she said, why do you want to work for your own practice? What would that mean to you? And my drive was my son. I said, it gives me that flexibility. You know, I want to be there for the pickups, for the drop-offs, and I want to be there for everything. But I also get to do what I love, which is my job. That kind of makes me me. So she said to me, what is stopping you? And it was that imposter syndrome. And I remember she said, look at this group, look at these women, and look at them making it. You are no different. And when she said that, I remember in April 2021, it was the 21st of April, that was my last day for the NHS. That I handed in my notice and I said, I'm going to do this. And I've never looked back. It's probably the best thing I've ever done for me and my family.
Yeah, it's actually quite common for women that start their own business to struggle with work-life balance more because you get so attached to it and you don't know how to turn off. How are you doing that? Like, how are you really compartmentalizing? Like, this is work, this is family time. What are your strategies?
And it's definitely a learning curve. I mean, for me, it was switching off. I think even though I wanted that flexibility, it felt like I was working all the time. And I did really struggle because in terms of the business, it's only me. It started off with just only me. There was nobody else. I had to be the accountant. I had to be the website person, the IT person, you know, doing the policies, the procedures. If anything goes wrong, it's me. I need to fix it. I reached burnout where my health kind of took the part. I became really, really stressed. I was doing everything. And then there was a point where I couldn't do many of the things that I'm doing now. And I think that was a good kind of reminder again, Tina, you need to fix up. And now I've kind of like reduced my hours. I've got my weekends back. I'm working Monday to Friday, but I'm also giving out clients as I've hired an apprentice. So I've got somebody else to kind of help support me within the business.
Would you say that that's one of the more challenging times you've had in your entrepreneurial journey? Or is there another time you can think of where you experienced something really challenging and how did you work through that?
Steering away from the norm was very, very challenging. And being a South Asian woman and saying I'm going to set up my own business, and especially at the time when I've just given birth to my baby, that was very hard. As soon as I wanted to work for myself, it's almost like, I'm not really sure if you can do that. It's almost like I wasn't competent enough. And I think that was very, very hard to be able to kind of try and be a mum, a South Asian mum, try and be a wife, try and be a daughter-in-law, try and be a sister, and try and be a daughter, as well as having all of those roles, as well as being a career-driven like businesswoman was very, very hard. I think having that group that I was saying, the successful superwoman with all these South Asian women, I think became almost like my family. Yeah. Because they were doing it, they were empowering each other, they were just like me, they looked like me, they knew exactly what kind of things I was dealing with because they had one time in their life. So they were able to give me really nice sound advice.
We keep talking about diversity, and obviously you're a South Asian woman. Can you share a little bit about, the importance of diversity and inclusion specifically within your industry?
Yeah, I think in terms of speech and language therapists, 95% of the speech and language therapists are Caucasians. When we are at Speech Therapy Interactive, we have a lot of caseload of South Asian patients. As soon as they see somebody who can speak their language, that makes them feel so much better. And to be able to kind of cater for their needs is so nice.
Have you ever been a mentor? Have you ever had a mentor? What are your thoughts on mentorship within the space?
Yeah, I've had a mentor, and having a cheerleader whenever that imposter syndrome kind of like kicks in and I'm just like, I don't think I can do it. And she's rooting for me. She's like, yeah, you can. And sometimes that's all you need. And now I'm a mentor for the newly qualified speech and language therapists that are coming through.
Kind of just coming to the end now. What would advice you give to women who want to start their own business?
I would say try and block out, if you can, the imposter syndrome. If you have a drive, I feel, and a passion, especially a drive with something, for me, it was my son. Finding that drive, finding your own drive, what is going to make you go that extra mile. I think that's really important. I think understanding that, it's okay if things are out of your comfort zone, because that's where growth is going to happen. And it's a learning, curve. It's a journey. You're always going to be learning. It's never going to be the end. And that is okay. And that's actually great because it's so stimulating, You're always learning. There's always change. There's always development. And I think having that growth mindset is really, really important. Women tend to sometimes compete with one another. Don't do that. Empower each other. Together you are so, so, so much stronger than you are by yourself. And I think being each other's cheerleaders, collaborating with each other, I think it's imperative.
That was really, really great. Thank you again so much for sharing your time, sharing your story, and being part of our She Moods campaign.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you very, very much.
Of course.